I set an intention to film a video today because I want to get better at talking at camera and getting comfortable with long form, and I want to learn how to just like be consistent and experiment with YouTube. And I tried to film basically the whole story of my college process. It's college decision season, so I feel like it's relevant right now. And I had a really unconventional experience, and I am really passionate about pursuing alternative paths and like helping people and supporting people through alternative paths because the support systems that exist now are fucked. Anyways, I felt so awkward telling this story. Like, I did not know how to speak to the camera. I did not know how to be engaging. And the more that I was like sitting there, oh, look at the paddle boarders. The more that I was sitting there trying to tell the story, the more I was like, fuck, this fucking sucks. Like, my vibes are bad. Also, like, I'm whispering because I'm in public, but I have this mic, so hopefully it sounds fine. I'm new to social media, I'm new to short form, and I'm especially new to long form. And what I've noticed with short form in my couple months of experimenting is that the way to do it is to really find a model that's fun for you. And what works for me on TikTok, at least, is I pretty much stream of conscious express, and I'm just documenting my creative process. This is what I'm learning as I build my business. This is what I'm learning as I'm writing my thesis. This is what I'm learning as I like do an art project and I'm like working on a painting. And that process literally feels like it's digital journaling. Like, I'm talking to the phone in a way that feels like it's an act of expression and it's an act of archiving and documenting. And the minute that I try to like sit here and do a long form thing and be very value driven and education based, it feels almost too scripted and poised because it's like, okay, get to the point, get to the points of like how you're going to help us, but also like still be you and still be natural, which is like a balance I just haven't figured out yet because I'm new. And part of me is like, okay, I need to force myself to experiment with that and like learn how to do that because I do want to be centered in value. But at the same time, I want to do it in a way that feels good, in a way that feels expressive, in a way that feels like true to who I am and true to how I communicate. And a lot of times, the way I communicate is super stream of consciousness. Even with like any writing that I do, I've been trying to practice publishing or like writing in a way that's more personal essay focused, but with intention and with an editing process. I think part of the reason I'm getting self conscious too is because I'm sitting in this little nook by the river and people keep walking past. So then I'm like, okay, here I am, like sitting on the ground with people watching me talk. But that's just part of it. And I said I was going to film today, so I must film. I'm trying to keep the promises I set to myself. It's beautiful here. Like, look at this little green area. There's something to say about doing work in a way that resonates with you, especially with creative work. And I think a lot of times it's easy to like fall into the trap of like thinking you should do things one way. But if I really think about like what I like to do, I like to talk. I like to like reflect. I like to write. And I think part of your responsibility as a creator that's doing like long form content or podcast content or any type of like conversation content is like you must learn how to storytell in a way where it's like, yes, it's you sharing your experience, but also how is you sharing your experience creating impact through the tool of storytelling, not just because like you want to mind dump at the phone. And I think mind dumping at the phone is a way to release things and like could inherently have value to some people. But anyways, I'm just like, I don't have the answers for that. And I am having a hard time with it because now I'm like, fuck, I set a goal and now I like physically don't know how to accomplish it. And what that shows me is like, okay, here we've exposed a weakness. And now that I look at the weakness, what am I gonna do to change it? Anyways, the only thing I can do right now is like just like push through and try. And it'll suck in the beginning and then it'll be better one day, or maybe it won't. And another thing that's weird about the internet is like you start to share things and build a world, right? Like, you're sharing little tidbits, you're sharing pieces of your mind, you're sharing things that resonate with you or art that you make. And then people can start to see your world over time as you build your world. But when the world is so fresh, it's like you're looking at this girl on the screen, like, who the fuck is this bitch? And it's like, I, even as someone that's making the thing, don't feel, it's like, okay, you don't know anything about me. I used to really struggle with digital identity, and now I've been feeling a lot better with it because I feel like the internet has become so pervasive and integrated in our lives that we don't necessarily expect all of someone. Us as consumers have shifted the expectations around like what authenticity means and what clarity means and what it means even to exist in these spaces. Ugh, I'm honestly frustrated. I'm like not in the flow state. That's another thing I've noticed. Like, sometimes I'm in the flow state of like just speaking and it comes out naturally and easily, and other times I'm just not in that space, and I'm not in that space right now. Can you hear the music? I don't think you can, but there's a DJ down the river. It's so beautiful here. I'm in Austin for the first time, and people had been talking about Austin. Like, I've been hearing a lot about Austin, so that's why I was like, okay, wait, maybe I'll go check it out. I heard there's a lot of nature. I heard there's a cool startup scene, a lot of active entrepreneur-esque people. I love being around people that are actionable on their ideas and like have vision. And yeah, I've really enjoyed the city. I feel disappointed in the content of this, but also I'm really vibing in the river, so maybe I just leave it at that and I'll read a book or something. Anyways, thanks for being here. I will get better at this one day. Mwah. It's so